Hello and welcome to the ZiaWoolz Studio Buzz. My name is Doug and I'm coming to you from the beautiful desert of New Mexico. This is a podcast about knitting and all the fun stuff connected to yarn with occasional excursions into the knitting world, but also sometimes, and that's something that I just started in the last episode, into the baking world. I have recently finished my yellow brick rodeo sweater, which I've showed you numerous times on previous episodes, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. I've used my own yarn, the Dreamcatcher base, for the solid sections, and this up here in the yoke is a storyteller yarn. Love how it turned out. I used 3.5 millimeter needles. I updated my project page on Ravelry where I am paper dag. And if you haven't done that yet, friend me. I would love to be connected on Ravelry because that way then I can see what you're up to. I love to do that. I couldn't be happier about the sweater. Check it out. So I made some changes to the pattern. The main one being that I made my body wide, but at the same time kept a slim sleeve. And also I made sure that this space was not coming down too low. I have room to breathe here about 2 inches, but otherwise it's really, I couldn't be happier with how my changes worked out. Yeah, so it's just perfect the way I love to wear a sweater. And the yoke was quite wavy before blocking, and that also blocked out nicely. So I couldn't be happier about this. And I have then started on the 1st of January a project that I told you I was gonna start, and it was just such a nice day of being focused on this new knit and on the pattern. And because sometimes it can be tricky when you start and with the shaping of the neckline and everything, and it worked out really nicely. And I'm talking about the Mariechen sweater, Mariechen cardigan, I'm sorry, which is a pattern by Isabel Kramer. And I'm using 4.5 millimeter needles. And this is where I am right now. I have been working on this monogamously for, until maybe 5 days ago when something else happened, which I will show you in a second. But, well, 2 things happened actually. But I will tell you about everything, yes. You notice this, maybe. And you notice that I am not using the yarn that I had initially planned to use. What I picked is a yarn which I am so happy with. It's such a beautiful yarn. I love knitting with this. It's so soft, and it was also surprisingly affordable. Not surprisingly. I mean, it was just a great price. I've had this for a while in my stash. It's called Kenzie by Haiku. I hope you can see that. Yep. And there's a problem. Um, I think where I knit very tightly, Isabel Kramer knits quite loosely, which I don't really have trouble figuring it out and making some adjustments. And in this case, I was just, I think I picked a smaller size to have all the stitches that I needed and to get the width that I wanted, but then also I knew probably row gauge was going to be off. So I did all my math. No, I didn't even do any math. I not yet. I just kept going and knitted. And then at some point, maybe here, that's when I did my math. I put it on, I had my husband help me and pull it down in the back, and I figured out I needed this much more to get to where I'm going to split the sleeves and where I have the width that I want. So I knew that in this case, I was going to have a wider, slightly wider sleeve because it's a cardigan, and that's okay. So I expected that. But then, so what happened was I did my math and I did my calculations. It was all good and I wrote it all down. And then I was knitting away and I thought, that looks a little bit small still. I'm just going to keep going. Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't, because I did not try it on. And I kept knitting and knitting and knitting after splitting the sleeves. I mean, that took quite some time. I mean, I don't mind ripping back, but honestly, I did want to show you this before I rip back. So I put it away. I think it was about a week ago. Because I was, for one, I wanted to put it in timeout, and two, I wanted to show you my problem. So, okay, you probably can already see that I have, I mean, of course, it's with the needles that it looks bigger, but I totally have Flying Dutchman sleeves. Yeah. Okay, that's that. And yeah, why I did not stick to my calculations, I don't know. It must have been late at night where I just thought, oh, let's just keep knitting and knitting and knitting, something like this. So you're going to say, oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. But no, I'm not going to do it. I will, most likely, I will wear this with a shirt under it the way I wear it right now. So, and this is going to block out. So I'm definitely going to get width. And there's going to be a ripping, I'm pretty sure. So I definitely have the width of the body, plus I'm not pulling super hard, so the stitches don't come off. But also, do you see this? This? No. So what I ended up doing was, when I tried it on, I pinched it here. I pinched it together to see where do I want it to be. And it's about here. You're saying the same thing. But most likely I will look at my calculations and see how they correspond to what I'm thinking, to where I will rip back. So it's under this. So about 2 inches off that section up here. And of course, all of this Yes, it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna catch up. It's all gonna be good. Yeah, but still not happy, of course. Okay, so that is my Mariechen cardigan. And for obvious reasons, I will share with you the recipe for a Mariechen Kuchen, which is in this case a Kuchen, not a pie, it's somewhere between a pie and a cake. If you understand German, maybe you want to do a screenshot now. If not, grab a piece of paper and a pen and I will translate. What's the word for the cake thing? Hold on. So this is what I use, and we have a diameter of about 10.5 inches. I just checked. So it's a great thing when you can take this off, of course, because that helps to get your cake out of this thing. Still can't think of the English word, but whatever. You know now what I'm talking about. Okay, you got your piece of paper and a pen ready? So take note. Mariechen Kuchen. 200 grams of flour. Sorry, you have to convert or weigh it. I don't know what that is in cups. The original recipe says 100 grams of sugar. I do it with 70 grams and that's plenty. 80 grams of butter, 1 egg, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And the way a German recipe is, when it says teaspoon, it literally talks about a small spoon. And you don't want the baking powder piled up, but you want it flush with your spoon. Okay, so that is the dough for the base. And you will squish it down. It's going to be a little crumbly. Don't worry about it. That's fine because you're going to squeeze it. And you squeeze your edge up on the sides. Of course, you butter this baby. And then you drain a large can of apricots, halves or whatever you have. You can cut it actually. I usually slice them. You drain that, the large can or 2 small ones. Actually, last time I even did a little more because we loved that with that fruit. And then you put those apricots or peaches, I've done that. Put that on your dough here, cover it. And then you use the juice of the fruit and you add water until you have kind of close to half a liter, which is about 2 cups. And then you want to make a vanilla pudding. You cook it the way you would. I hope there's American ones because I used to bring the German ones and I still have some because normally we don't use them much. So a vanilla pudding that is meant to use 2 cups of liquid. You use that and cook it not with milk, but with the liquid from your fruit. And you pour that over your fruit. you bake that for 40 minutes at 385. I think last time I lowered the temperature because I could tell mine was a little bit high, but that's okay. It was still delicious. I just made it a few days ago. So then, but then that's not the end of it, because there comes another layer over it after this is baked. You need 3 more eggs. You divide them, and the egg white, you beat it stiff, and then the egg yolks, you add also a reduced amount of sugar, which in my case was 70 grams of sugar, and 1 cup of saure Sahne. That could be sour cream. I think it's sour cream, but I've done it with 100 grams of plain yogurt, and that was fine. You could also, my neighbor uses a lot of Chobani vanilla yogurts. I bet that would work. I want to try that next time and just use 1 cup. And a little more or less, it's not gonna matter that much. Maybe if it gets really high, you may need to adjust your baking time, whatever. But the main thing is you spread that, you get the stiff egg whites get mixed in with the egg yolk, which you, of course, you beat both separately, the egg yolk with the sugar and the sour cream or yogurt, whatever you use. And then you use the egg white and pull it under it, whip it under it. And then you put that on top of your already baked cake and bake it again for another 15 minutes at 385 or 380 in my case. I think that's what I did. It's so good. It's so fruity and delicious. And because it shares the name with the cardigan, I thought I have to share the recipe. And I hope you will enjoy it. Do let me know if you try it, okay? I got some responses about people who tried the cookie recipe that I shared in the Christmas episode, and I love to hear that. And also, if you have a favorite recipe where you think, oh, she would like that, please send it to me. This is my email address. And I thank you in advance. Okay, that was the Mariechen content. And now I wanted to show you what I have started a few days ago for a special reason, which was that my daughter came home from yoga class, and she's like, Mom, look at what someone had in my class. I love this so much. And I asked her if I could take a picture of it. And I said, my mom can make this for me. Can I take a picture? So she showed me the picture. And of course, I feel very flattered. A, that she wants something for me. B, that she brags about my abilities. And so, of course, then immediately we went outside to dig into the stash, and right away we found a perfect yarn that she loved and I was happy to use for a project that I didn't even remember I had. This cotton yarn, and it was quite a large amount that I had. I want to say I had 8 balls of this, and I'm on the 7th. Can that be? I think so. So this is really vintage stash of cotton yarn. I don't really knit much with 100% cotton, but I did, I want to say about 2 years ago, if you've been around that long, I made 4 Edda bags for my daughter in different colors, and that was really a fun project, and she loves those bags. However, what the problem with them is, or she tells me she uses them, but on the other hand, the issue she has with them is that they're kind of small. They're very kind of like a ball shape, like a large, just a little oversized round shape. And then you have the handles, but also the body is very meshy. I mean, every bag was fast to make. This one is not. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. I think it's going to be fine to put in that picture. Nobody's going to mind if I show their bag on the podcast, I think. So I started this, and I just made it up. And I'm quite far in, and I will probably make another 2 rounds or so. That's the ball I'm working with right now, probably 30 grams gone or so. And this is where I am. And she loves it. I thought she was going to say, oh, this is too big, but I think she really loves it. And what I'm thinking, because the finish is going to be a few rounds of single crochet before you add the handles. And then I'm thinking with the single crochet, it's going to pull it together a little bit, because this is kind of loose, and that's going to be really nice. Yeah, I'm quite happy. And what she wants something that she can use for the beach. She's in college in California, so she's probably going to use this to go take it to just throw everything in that she needs when she goes out to the gym, to the yoga, to any kind of class. And then also, of course, like I said, to the beach. And she said she just wants it so chapstick doesn't fall out through the mesh. And of course, you see this is crochet, and I did make up the base. I just kept going and figured it out, but actually you can probably tell that the center is maybe a little bit different, but then all of a sudden it hit me. In every round, what you do is you double every 7th stitch, every 8th, every 9th, every 10th, and this is a double crochet that I've used. And the pattern then is just, I'm going to hold it up close, and everybody who crochets probably can tell how this is done. You have 2 double crochets that go in the middle between the double crochets of the row underneath. Yeah, very simple. And you don't need to like fit it in specifically. It's really, really very easy. And it was easy to figure out when she showed me the picture of the bag that she saw that she liked so much. And that is a, what do you call it? A crochet tote bag. Yeah. I also had a not so nice experience, but it made me laugh because it doesn't really matter. I recently pulled out all of our hats and scarves and everything out of the drawer where we keep them. And I thought, well, I'm going to wash that hat one more time, and the orange one with the nice fluffy pom-pom, and I'll see. So I took the pom-pom off and I threw it in the wash, and I just knew that it had some, well, long story short, it felted ridiculously because I did not remember that it had a wool content. Should I know everything about felting? Yes, I should. Because I made felted slippers for my whole family. But now, you may remember this thing was massively giant, but now it's not anymore. I got a great tip from a friend who said, why don't you turn it into a cowl? And initially I thought no, but then I thought yes. And I was pretty decided to do that. And then this happened, so oh well. But yeah, so now this is gonna go in the trash, but of course I wanted to show you. So make sure you remember the yarns you used in your projects before you wash them. Okay, that was that. And then I sorted through a bunch of projects. You know how sometimes we start things and we have these ideas and we, yeah. Well, you know how it goes. Most of us are the same way. There are some Wonder Women out there who start one sweater and then they knit it within 1 week because they are monogamous knitters and they are speed knitters on top of everything. And you probably know I'm talking about you, Therese. So I'm just not that way. I am I feel like a butterfly that flies from flower to flower, and that's my knitting projects. But that's okay. I mean, I have my moments where I knit monogamous and then it changes again, and then I just go back and forth, and that's okay. So I have the sweater for my brother that I'm working on, and I've knitted a little bit, and that's not enough to show you. Then I started the sweater with the pattern that Gudrun Johnston designed, which is the high desert yoke, and I've knitted a few rounds, like about 1 inch, and that's not worth showing either. I'll show you when I've made more progress. So the sweater for brother, the sweater, Gudrun Johnston sweater, and my cardigan that I started several weeks. Oh my gosh. I think I started that end of September. Okay, I haven't touched it in a very long time, but I will eventually. No problem. But then there was one thing where I thought, well, it's just not gonna happen. And the reason being that I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I was going to be fine with just 2 skeins, but I'm not. And this was something that I was designing what are they called? Dolman sleeves, I think. And you can already see, this has been scrunched up and not touched for a very long time. Even though I love this yarn, and maybe, it's always the same. You pull out something, you think, I'm gonna rip this out, I'm never gonna finish this. And then you look at it when you show it on the podcast and you think, well, maybe you can make some changes and finish it after all. And the idea that I have is, this is where I started the new ball. And I could totally rip back to where I did those, where I worked my increases here for the sleeves, but then I could rip back and just save a lot of yarn, but by not going that far out, you see? For example, I could, if I stop here and then I go up, that saves me quite a bit of yarn. And then I was thinking of a deep round neckline in the front. Okay. I will put this on my knitting spot and think about, because that was a lot of knitting. That is ZiaWoolz Sun Dancer in the colorway Sterntaler, and these were some favorite minis. I think that beautiful mint was from Debbie. It was hedgehog fibers, and I think that gorgeous hot pink was from Rachel, Yarn Equals Joy podcast. If you don't know her, go take a look. Yeah, just I won that actually. She did a giveaway and I won this. I won some minis from her and a skein of yarn, I think, actually. Yeah. So yeah, I'll just think a little bit before I rip. Okay, these are my projects and plus one more, which brings me to a giveaway. We had the memory cal for Oma. I think it was called Memory Make-Along for Oma 2021 in honor of her 80th birthday. And now you know why I made a Mariechen kuchen, but the make-along ended on her birthday just a few days ago, which would have been her 80th birthday. And I thought I had my iPad somewhere here, so let me grab that to do the giveaway. And I want to show you what you can win. This is a beautiful skein of Roadrunner singles yarn, and the other one is a tagless, I apologize, already wound up skein, 4-ounce skein of Taos, which is my Corriedale yarn, which I always call a sock yarn, but I know quite a few knitters who happily wear this on their bodies. And this is the colorway, the Beekeeper's Christmas. So we have 2 wins, and I will close the thread now, and then we will do the giveaway. And I'm not gonna close the thread. I won't close the thread. So if you see this and you see that you have won, then whoever writes me in our thread in the ZiaWoolz Ravelry group, whoever is first can pick whichever they want. The Taos Corriedale Superwash Corriedale nylon, which is a 4-ounce skein of about 435 yards. And this one is a singles yarn, 100 grams of superwash merino, 400 yards. And this is a lucky dog colorway. I only have one of these. Let me get my iPad. Okay, we have a total of 46 comments, and I will start with number 3. Comment number 3. So the more you post it in that group thread, the higher your chance to win something. And so I start with number 3, And then we'll see if it was me, or I mean, if it was me, then we will have to redo it. Okay. Pick a random number between 3 and 46.
It's 7.
Okay, it is 7. And that is me. Pick a random number between 3 and 46.
That would be 17.
17 is Julishka. I'm sorry, Julishkaya. And Beate, herzlichen Glückwunsch. Wenn du das siehst, falls du die Erste bist, die in dem Thread kommentiert, dann sag mir, was du lieber haben möchtest, welchen Strang. Julishkaya. So that was the first winner. Pick a random number between 3 and 46.
It's 9.
Nummer 9. Und das ist die Susanne. Susanne, die Orientbayerin. Sorry, pardon me. I switch to German automatically when I know the person is German. And in this case, both are Germans. Susanne, she's a lucky one. She has already won something on a previous getaway. So whoever is first, make your choice. And thank you all for being with me in this, in remembering our loved ones that are not with us anymore. And thank you. This was fun. And as I told you, you didn't need to be done with your project, of course. It was just a matter of communicating and talking about those special people in our lives. And if you are interested, go to Ravelry, go to the ZiaWoolz thread, and you see some very neat things that the people showed who were participating in this. So thank you to all. And what is next? Oh yes, I meant to say my crochet blanket is I've used a pattern that my mother used multiple times for blankets. I mean, she made a lot of blankets in that pattern, and she used other leftover yarns that she got from her work back way in the day, and I am using her leftovers from her sock projects. And I'm holding 2 strands together. Yeah, I'll show you another time because it's gonna be an ongoing project that will be with me for a long time. Okay, what is next? I need to sort my stuff here a little bit, and I had a very productive day yesterday. The shop is updated, and I've dyed some more yarns, and I have also then when you are handling yarn, and I swear to God, it makes me always want to dye more yarn. It gives me ideas, and it's just, yarn is so much fun, isn't it? So what I brought to show you is my ideas. And then we're going to come to the shop update, where I show you real quick what's new in the shop. So my daughter said she would love a cardigan. I may have mentioned that before, not quite sure, but she said she wanted a cardigan. She doesn't really know what she wants, and she sends me these pictures of very, very different things. And she changes her taste changes so quickly. So I'm sometimes have a hard time to figure out what she really likes, but I think I have it in this case. And so it's got to be big and chunky, but on the other hand, kind of loose gauge, and just a fun thing, maybe with big balloon sleeves. And you may remember, I already made her a sweater with balloon sleeves, which I used a fuzzy yarn for that one, but now she's like, no fuzzy yarn for the cardigan and no speckles. All my favorites, speckled and fuzzy, but okay, I will make it happen anyways. So I recently got a base, and I will have it eventually in the shop, but there's not a lot of it, and it is discontinued now from my seller. So I got it at a great price, and so there will be a few skeins going in the shop, but not very much. And these are the colors that she chose to use in the cardigan. And I'm going to show you what my ideas are. It may change again because I also dyed up a green. She immediately discarded this gorgeous green, but that's okay. I didn't think she would like it. Her green is more kind of like this, more of an emerald green. And my thought is that I will use a white yarn, this, and hold it together with a color, this, and then work in 3 large blocks in a rib pattern. Wait a minute, what is it called? So it's gonna be a cardigan. Wait, stockinette is where it's only knit stitches, and knit, what is that? Garter stitch? Gosh, now my terminology has escaped me. I apologize. Okay, but so it's going to be like all knit stitches, and either I'm making raglan or I'm going to work out the yoke without raglan, just with regularly distributed increases, because I'm going to make it from the top down. She's funny. She's like, I want this one a little bit longer. And guess what? The next picture she shows me is a cropped cardigan. Or then also she's wearing all these cropped shirts. Well, maybe that's why she wants a long one, so she can snuggle up. So yeah, we'll see. I will let you know what happens with this. It's just, you know how the mind, it bubbles. The bubbling creative mind. That's how it goes. It will happen. So that was this that I wanted to tell you about. And then I have, like I said, I was sorting my yarns and I found this that I had purchased in Taos at the Wool Festival, actually at the yarn store in Taos. And it's so beautiful. And then I have these components that work together, you know, with my daughter, with all the components of all the pictures that she showed me, they morphed into this idea. Same with this. Debbie of the Periscoping Sisters podcast. She asked me about, she's going to make Duke City mitts, and she asked me a question. So we had a little chat about that. And so I thought, oh, I want to make some Duke City mitts. And I thought I'm going to make, because she's going to try my, not honeysuckle. She's going to try my velvet base, the fuzzy one. But I still have mohair and it's fine on the hands. So I thought, oh, I want to hold this with mohair. Also, my friend Lauren was just knitting a pair of mitts and she also held mohair with another yarn. So I'm probably going to make Duke City mitts, or I'm going to try to turn a pair of Duke City mitts into some full-on mitts. I haven't decided yet. Sound familiar? Yes. And then in my garage studio is a shelf. On this shelf was sitting this lot, plus one more skein. And you may remember this was a beige, grayish, brown hand-spun yarn that I very successfully over-dyed after spinning. And I have already wound up one ball of it. Isn't it gorgeous? So I probably should have put it in a bin because every time I walked by, I wanted to knit with this because I just think it's the most gorgeous color. So then I kept wearing my Il Grande Favorito. I keep saying Il Grande Favorito, another sweater that I've made after an Isabel Kramer pattern. It's just this giant sweater with a lovely neckline that I've been wearing a lot in the house, like when I was cold and like didn't want to go and grab a jacket or a warmer long sleeve shirt. I just threw this on and within minutes I was snugly warm. And for this I have used, I should have looked this up, I apologize. I think a lace yarn and the lace is the Suri alpaca, but two other yarns that I held together. One of them a DK and the other one a fingering, if I hope I'm not making that up, but whatever. Then I thought, hey, I should do the same thing for this guy. I should hold it with my velvet, the Suri Baby Alpaca Silk Blend, and dye it in a nice green because I would love a green sweater. Never mind me that all of a sudden while I was doing the dishes last night, all of a sudden I remembered, hey, I do have a green sweater. And before that, I thought I have no green sweater. Crazy, right? So I wound up one ball. I had already previously at some point made a swatch. This way, of course. And without the velvet, of course. And yesterday I thought, I wound it and I touched the skeins and I had already dyed the green. I'm going to show you in a second. The green velvet, 4 skeins. And then I thought, man, the way this feels is very greasy. It's like it feels hand spun. And then I began to doubt myself, and I really, now I wonder if I should really hold it with the velvet, and because it will change this dramatically, and I don't know if I want that after all. Oops, I just had an avalanche. Yeah, it would look very nice if I held it together, but I just really don't know anymore. So the next step will be in this process, the next step will be that I will knit up a small sample, and after that I will decide if it will be the Il Grande Favorito or if it will be the Il Grande Favorito in a just this yarn, which is always an option too. Yeah, I'll see. And then oh my gosh, this is a giant mess. And then I wanted to show you another thing which will hop on my needles on the 22nd of January. And I talked about this last time. It is this gorgeous shawl. And I don't know, for some reason, I cannot get the name of this pattern into my head. I don't know why. And it was only, it wasn't on the, Oh, it's gonna driving me crazy, sorry. Hold on. I definitely can already show you the yarn that I will use. I decided on this color, and the friend in Germany who wanted to use the same yarn in a different color, she has just received her yarn, and so we set the date of the 22nd of January. That's when we have our cast on, and I will look up the name of the pattern. Oh no, I'm gonna put it on the screen, of course. And then I did block my birds of a feather. And I love it, of course. I'm gonna put it on because I wanted to show you where are you? This, if you fell in love with this yarn, it is now finally in the shop. And at this point, when I'm talking about the shop, I want to apologize to my friend Candace, who wanted to make a purchase in my shop and none of the yarns were in there. I have no idea what I did. What state of mind I was in to take yarns out and not adjust the shop. Hopefully the shop is now in good working order, and at www.ZiaWoolz.com, that will get you through my little website to through a shop button to Etsy, and that's where all these yarns are. So I'm just going to show you real quick because they always look a lot better in person than on just the pictures. More Than a Woman. Salty Cowgirl. Salty Cowboy. And the sexy cowboy. Not saying, not implying at all that the salty cowboy is not also sexy, but and these are all honeysuckle, the luxurious base with 70-20-10 merino, cashmere and silk that gives it a nice sheen. This is perfect purple, nice neutral, some speckles, I hope you could see that. Big Sur, which I think I showed you. America the Beautiful. And Winter Rose, which has already been super popular in the shop on Sandia, and this one, of course, also on Honeysuckle. And then I have a few more of this, which is Sandia, which is my merino sock yarn, 80-20 superwash merino. And nylon, and this has 4 ounces and 434 yards, which is a super nice amount that may give you 2 pairs of socks if you don't make the leg part too tall. So this is my yarny, almost all the yarny news, because I also brought something that I'm so excited about that I wanted to show you, even though it's still wet. There will be, one of these is already gone, but one of these sets, but the other one will make it into the shop as a set of 2 skeins of velvet and 2 skeins of honeysuckle to create something like this. So one set will be available in the shop. Be on the lookout. I don't like to take pictures when the yarn is wet because it's going to look a little bit different when it's dry. And so stay tuned for a few more days. However, fair warning, we're going to go out of town to take our daughter back to college next week. So then I'm going to have to close the shop, and sadly I don't have anybody who takes care of it and could take care of my shipping when I'm not here. Yeah. I'm so excited about this. How this turned out, especially as a combo like this, what it's meant to. I mean, this is what I purposely dyed. This yellowish green and the 2 matching skeins. And now on to paper, because now I can't find it. Oh my gosh. I have a giant hot mess spread out around me, but now I found what I was looking for. I may have showed you this before. This is my current knitting notebook. Front and back, and I irregularly use this book. And this is how it looks like. I slap in my tags and sometimes yarn samples. So as you can see, I started this one in 2017, but obviously I have knitted more than just what's in it up to here. And I usually, in case you're interested, I do use fountain pens in this. Not always, because not always do I have one handy, but I never have had issues with faded fountain pen or anything like that. And I try to make sure that I don't spill any drinks over what I write, because then, of course, I would have a problem, but never happened so far, knock on wood. And, oh, that is funny. Oh, look at that. This is what I started off with for this project. This is how the idea made it onto this page, and even before I started, actually. Oh, cool. Okay, and in the very back, I have this, which is also pretty amazing, and I just sewed on some clear plastic onto the back page and to be able to fit this in. Pretty cool. But you can probably imagine, since this one was started in 2017, that I've had more in the past. I'm now using the A5 size that I'm also using for my travel journals. But when I first started taking notes of my knits, they were in a small size. And the other day I got together with some equally yarn and paper crazy friends, and we wanted to explore some junk journaling and art journaling together. And I ended up making a cover for my knitting journals, my old ones that are full and that just need to be on the shelf. Because if you look at this and imagine it on a shelf, you don't ever know when this is full, it goes on the shelf, and you don't ever know which is which, because this is all you see and you don't see the front, and you can't put a title on the spine. So I had, my very first books were small. My first knitting notebooks, they were this size. So I combined them, and now I'm showing them finally. You're probably like, get on with it and let us see how they look like. This is the size. And here's my hand for comparison. This was a small size moleskin. This was a handmade notebook by someone that I bought at a craft show. She covered it with fabric. And this was, you probably all remember these Sheep World things. I was always so in love with all of these and bought what I could find when I was in Germany over the summer. Yeah, and so I made a cover and I bound them in there, and now I know, hey, these are my small, very first knitting notebooks, and they have a nice spine on the shelf. I will recognize immediately. And I used to do marbling, and I still have quite a bit of paper, and I also have quite a bit of bookbinder's linen that I still have from way back when I used to do bookbinding. And I know there's some of you out there who do bookbinding. I apologize, I don't remember your name. I once got this sweet message, and she will know that I'm talking about her. But she's doing bookbinding, and everybody who knows bookbinding knows that this is really not that hard, what I did here. And I had some like a trashy old giant children's book that I bought cheap at a Goodwill and that I cut up and where I used one sheet. It's a knitting theme book, obviously. And so I used that to cover the inside. So that was the first one. But then I had my next 3 knitting notebooks are moleskins, a larger size. They are probably about this tall, but skinnier. And by the way, of course, I determined the size for this to hold my 3 notebooks. And that's the same thing that I did for my other books. Had these been thicker, the spine would have been thicker. But that is what I needed to do for the other knitting notebooks. And you freak out when you see this. Look at it. 3 knitting notebooks. Yes. I cannot even tell you how happy this made me to get back into this and to use my paper and to get creative with this. And it was so much fun. So this is my inside cover that I put into the cover that I made from scratch for these 3 notebooks. I've showed them before, probably. And you're going to say, well, what's that thing dangling? So I initially had just the cover like I had for the little books. But now what I wanted to do, because this has so much content, I wanted to find the perfect way to hold it together. Also, so because it could go like this, you know? Yeah, so I wanted to hold it together and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So initially I thought, do I even want to punch a hole into my beautiful cover? But then I decided the next day, yes, I'm gonna punch a hole. So I did that hole in the back and then I put my tie all the way around, but I realized, no, I do not want that either because I don't wanna cover I don't want anything going over the front. So I will put another, are they called grommets? But that's what I'm going to put in the front at a corresponding point, so I can thread this through and tie over here, and I can still see my cover. And if you're interested, you can see that these hold a lot of tags and yarn samples, and because it was back when the kids were so much younger, there's then also the kids used it for drawings. And but something I regret is that these books were kind of like an all-round notebook at times. So when I went to a school meeting where I brought my knitting, I always had my notebook, my knitting notebook in my purse, and then it was kind of became a multi-purpose notebook. And I love to have my things separate. I want to have the normal notes with the notes. I want to have a travel journal in the travel journal, the travel notes. And so this does have knitting and travel and other notes combined. But it's, I mean, it is what it is. We grow with these things and then we realize, oh, this is not the right thing. I would like it different in the future. And then that's what we do. And in case you wonder, so these were altered by me, and I also put in grommets in the back and added a rubber band to hold them shut, to hold the notebooks shut. And but these do wear out. So I think what I will do, because none of them are tight anymore, I think what I'll do is just to cut them off now that they're in the cover. Yes, my knitting notebooks, past and present. And in case you are interested, this is my current selection of travel notebooks. And I have started in 2017 and it goes until 21, and nothing new in 22 yet. But I did want to show you how they look like. This was the very first, and I am quite confident that I quit writing in between, because several trips are in here and I still have to put that information on the cover. And the next one is, hold on, oh yes, 2020. Very happy with this cover. That was Colorado, Wyoming, South Dakota, including Yellowstone. And I'm trying out different things, and in this one I also put some photos in the back and different stuff, paper related stuff that I picked up somewhere. Yeah. And then this one, again, Live and Learn. The title totally blends into the background, so I'm gonna have to correct that. And great way to keep notes. I have everything on one page. That's in longer, chatty format in the book, in the notebook. Then love this, and I will definitely do that again, because if I open the book, I will be able immediately to see, oh, hey, this is what we did. Yes. Then next was this one. Another mistake that I made. This is not full. So that's why I put the tab on to mark how many pages are left in this book. I don't know why I didn't use it in the next trip. It was kind of stupid. Then I have Mexico, Mexico, California. Love both of these covers. I have a collection of pictures that I ripped out of magazines and stuff that I've had, some for a long time, or a book that children's book that I got cheaply that I plan to use for this. And this, for example, is very, very old. Yeah. And then last one. This one more plain from the outside with the beautiful yellow cover. I like it very much. This is a Leuchtturm. I think it's called a Jot book. Maybe not. Not sure. So that was the last book I used, and there I still have about 30 pages left. And so I can see, okay, we were on the road for 12 days. That took me about 30 pages. So I know how much space I have, and I can always take an extra notebook in case I fill this and I end up using more paper than I thought I would. And that is that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe this was such a long podcast. podcast. I hope you didn't fall asleep. All right, I was happy. I enjoyed chatting with you, and I am looking forward to seeing you again in a few weeks. Be well and happy knitting. Bye.